welcome to Fact or Fiction. Now, excuse me, I'm calling this Fact or Fiction because obviously everyone's got their own belief regarding the paranormal. And the paranormal, it covers one hell of a field, you know, ghosts, UFOs, Sasquatch, whatever. It covers such a vast field. So I'm calling this Fact or Fiction. Reason being is because everyone's got their own beliefs, as I just said. And, you can believe it and think, yep, it actually happened. Or you can think, nah, it's all BS. Now, I'm not here to say it's true. I'm not here to say it's not true. I'm a believer in the ghosts and UFOs, 100%. I'm sorry, but I am. However, when I tell these stories, I'm not going to give you every single minute detail because I will be here forever and a day. All right? These are, and I will state now, these are like condensed versions of what happened. I will obviously do my utmost to keep the main events included in the stories. But for the most part, I will be condensing it down because obviously I'm limited by time as well. So I hope you enjoy them, guys. I've had some good reviews on my ghost or paranormal stories in the past. That's nice. That's nice. Nice beef tea. Yeah, I've actually been asked a couple of times when am I doing them next. So I'm assuming they went down well. Anyway, today I'm going to talk to you about a fishing trawler. Now, for those who don't know what a fishing trawler is, I'll put a photo up of a fishing trawler on the screen. It's not going to be the fishing trawler. It's just to give those an idea. We don't know what a trawler is, what one looks like. So, yeah, this took place up in Bridlington on the northeast coast of Yorkshire in the North Sea. I believe it's around 1986-87 when this took place. There was a fishing trawler, part of the fishing fleet. At the time, there was a fleet of 60 vessels, I believe, going out of Bridlington at the time. And she was the fishing vessel Pickering was actually a very productive member of that fleet. And she'd got a new skipper. And slowly but surely things began to happen. They could be out in the North Sea, and they'd have, obviously when they're trawling and they're getting the nets back aboard, they'd have all hands downstairs, gutting the fish, cleaning the fish, etc., etc., etc. And then, so obviously at that time, the boat would mostly be on autopilot. Yeah, somebody would go up to the wheelhouse, make sure everything was fine, there was nothing in the way, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, it would be on autopilot. Now, the autopilot would malfunction. So just say the skipper put in turn 45 degrees east or whatever. The boat would actually go to port, or to the west rather, and vice versa. And he couldn't work it out. None of the crew could. So they had an electrician come aboard, and he couldn't work it out either. He couldn't find any fault with the system. So he reversed the wires. And for a time, these wires, what he did with the wires, where he reversed them, they worked. Then all of a sudden, they went back to being, they would want to go to port, but it would go to starboard. Now, the electrician said that's against the laws of polarity. How would that happen? I don't know much about electric, so don't ask me, guys. I really got no idea. The wheelhouse began to get very cold, as did the galley. One crew member actually stated it was colder in the wheelhouse than what it was down in the fish store below deck. I mean, obviously, the fish store is going to be ice cold, obviously, to keep the catch fresh. Now, for somebody to say that, it's going to have to be cold. Things began. more things began to happen aboard. One night they're out at sea, and the skipper went below deck to his bunk to crash out. Fair enough, as you. And he felt the one side of the bunk dip as though someone's put their foot on it to jump up into the top bunk above him. And he didn't think anything of it. He thought, one of the crews come down and he'd gone to sleep. Whatever. And a couple of minutes later, it happened again. Now, at first, he thought it was a dream. Because obviously he was tired, he was asleep. It happened again. Now, then he thought, okay, who's playing silly buggers? He honestly thought one of the crew was having a laugh with him. So he jumped out of his bunk and whipped the curtains back on the top bunk. It was empty. Now, he didn't know what to make of this one. So he went to the galley. For those who don't know, that's a kitchen / dining room. And all the crew members were there, apart from the one on watch, who was up in the wheelhouse. They knew nothing about it. They flatly denied it. Okay. And the trouble was the autopilot actually started to go onto the other machinery on the boat. The winches jammed, faults with the engine began occurring. And it got so bad that the crew actually had to keep signing on at the job centre so they could get some money, because they weren't able to go out and earn money. They had to get money from the job centre. There were reports of figures being seen in and around the boat, particularly when they were out at sea. One night there was a guy on watch in the wheelhouse having his coffee. Nothing major happening. And he saw a guy up on the forecastle. A figure. I'll rephrase that. A figure up on the forecastle. So he was like, okay, who's that? Well, the guy's gone out there. So he went out the wheelhouse and called out John or Bill or whatever. The figure turned and vanished into thin air. Now, understandably, this freaked him out a little bit. And he ran into the wheelhouse, down into the galley. Right, who's been up there playing silly buggers? No, nobody. And he told them what had happened. Other crew members saw a figure in wet weather gear on various parts of the boat. And it got so bad that they weren't able to go out at all. And on another visit to the job centre, the guy in the job centre actually began to know them quite well, because they've been there so many times. And he said, oh, what's happened this time? And the skipper said, the winches are jammed this time, and if things don't change, I'm going to have to get an exorcist in. Trying to make light of the situation. But the guy at the job centre said, well, if you're serious, I actually know somebody who can help there. And at that time, I think the skipper was so desperate, he would try anything, which is understandable. So the guy at the job centre put them in touch with a local reverend. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember the reverend's name. For the life of me. I do apologise, guys. Listened to the story, okay, and he decided to do a bit of research. Before he went down to the vessel, he started to do a bit of research. And he found out that this vessel, the Pickering, was actually owned by a family out in Ireland. And at that time, it was called the Family Crest. And what happened was, one night during a storm, they were out in the Atlantic. And sadly, a guy was washed overboard and perished. The owner became so distraught, he just had to get rid of the boat. And it was bought by an English company and renamed the Pickering. So he took all this in and made an arrangement to go down to visit the vessel and carry out an exorcism, I suppose you'd call it. En route to the Pickering, the electrician saw him and said, well, where are you off to, Father? Oh, I'm going down to the Pickering. Well, jump in, I'll give you a lift. I've got to go down there. The machinery's playing up again. Now, obviously, I don't think there's a lot known really about what happens during an exorcism And for that very reason, the Reverend didn't want to create the scene, so he asked the crew when he came aboard, can we put to sea? So less publicity type of thing. So they put to sea, and he began his blessing. The wheelhouse, the galley, the bunks, everywhere on the ship something had happened or been seen. That's what he blessed. And he blessed so many parts of the boat, that he actually ran out of holy water. They finished up on the forecastle, where the figure had been seen numerous times, and said a prayer. Lo and behold, nothing ever happened again on the board of Pickering. Nothing. It became a very profitable boat. The crew were making good money, and they were bringing in loads of fish. So, guys, you can look it up if you want to. You know, you might find something I didn't. I mean, most of my knowledge on this story comes from the 90s TV series Strange But True with Michael Aspel. So make of it what you will. Feel free to do your own research, and hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll catch you again.